Vehicle experts are reporting a large increase in the number of people being seriously injured by e-scooters.
Between 2017 and 2022 in Western Australia, 74 people either died or suffered a major head injury from an e-rideable. More than half weren't wearing a helmet and many had consumed alcohol or drugs.
51-year-old Tan Fan was going out for dinner in Perth on Saturday when he was hit by an e-scooter. After 2 nights in hospital and surgery for swelling on the brain, he died on Monday night.
We've taken the decision at this stage to cease the operations of our rental e-scooters within the city bounds.
I see this as a step in the right direction of an informed discussion where we start to understand the risks.
You're on the front line of this. Just how bad is it?
We're seeing impact from e-scooters and other e-rideables on a daily basis at the state's major trauma centre. It's this enormous group of patients that we've had to treat from injuries that are preventable.
As policymakers continue to look at this problem, what's the number one thing you want them to understand?
I want a policymaker to understand the impact that this has on the patient and on society. Are these people able to get back into the community, back to their usual jobs? Or do they place an additional burden on our society as we have to nurse them through a remainder of their life in a nursing home, or whether they don't make it at all?
State political reporter Keane Bourke sat down with Road Safety Commissioner Adrian Warner.
Road Safety Commissioner Adrian Warner, welcome to Stateline.
Thank you very much for having me.
Professor Webber says these injuries that we're seeing from e-scooters are preventable. Why are they still happening?
Absolutely, they are preventable. So my view is that if people ride safely and sensibly within the existing rules, there is very little risk of any serious injury happening, and that's what we see in the statistics.
These rules have been around for 3.5 years now. What's it going to take for people to understand them?
I'm always surprised with the amount of advertising we do when we're doing targeted advertising, particularly on social media and groups that we know are higher proportionate users of these devices. But people aren't understanding the rules.
So if education's not working, is enforcement the solution?
It's part of the solution, absolutely. And police periodically conduct blitzes, and we've coordinated our efforts and education efforts with blitzes by police, and they've proved very effective.
Does it need to be more sustained than blitzes then?
Yeah, and police have to balance up their resources with all the other priorities, particularly in terms of road safety. What I can tell you is that their enforcement activity has resulted in a shift in terms of the numbers of illegal devices that are being used so openly.
Are you more concerned about the e-scooters that people are buying and that might be able to go faster than the rules, or the higher scooters?
Yeah, that again, another good question, because there is a difference in the risks that we see when we look at the hire schemes and versus the privately owned scooters. The hire schemes regulate their speed. You can't play with their speed, but people can choose to go fast on a footpath when they shouldn't. But there is a group of people who want to ride further and faster on bigger, heavier, more powerful devices.
Is that a space where there does need to be a bit more regulation rather than just saying they're illegal?
Yes, I believe so. I think that there's a fundamental question about these devices. You know, to what extent or at what point do we look at these devices and say, look, they're not really so much like a bicycle as we should treat them more like a motorcycle or a moped, for example. You know, we have a special category of licence for low-powered motorbikes or motor scooters. Should we have a similar category of device in our road rules and vehicle standard rules for these bigger, heavier, faster devices, be they e-bikes or e-scooters? And, you know, what kind of driver licensing requirements will apply? You know, they certainly need to address issues around registration and insurance. Our approach that we've highlighted in the review, which the government has accepted, is to try and tackle them at a national level.
The City of Perth has decided to suspend temporarily its availability of e-scooters for hire. Should other local governments be doing the same thing?
Look, I think the City of Perth's response is understandable in the circumstances, and there are circumstances. The CBD is a fairly unique place. It's very heavily trafficked, heavily congested with pedestrians, a lot of tourist activity there. So I think there's no one-size-fits-all response, but I think everyone will be looking very carefully at what City of Perth does.
Do you think there is a way to make them safe within the CBD?
I think so, and one of the issues I think that we will be looking at, and I'm sure the City of Perth will, their tender for a new tender for the hire scheme is either out in the market now or being developed. And in the time that they first moved for introducing the current scooters and now, technology's moved dramatically. So modern devices are often equipped with cameras inbuilt into the device, which can detect whether you've got a helmet on your head, can detect whether you've got two people on the device, for example.
Does the state government then need to mandate that only those scooters that meet that higher level are available for hire?
That's something we'll talk with local government about, because it may well be that creating a safer category of device that's raising the threshold helps local governments in terms of their tendering and their business licensing, and gives good signals to the industry that you have to keep improving your safety standards. You can't just dump unsafe devices on the market to make a quick buck.
Road Safety Commissioner Adrian Warner, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.